Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and join me today for my overview of the Absolute Batman, The Court of Owls from DC Comics. This is the 2023 printing, so let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So what we're looking at here is the latest printing of the Absolute Batman Court of Owls. This is the 2023 printing. Let's look at the cover here a little bit closer. There's really nothing here, no logo or anything. Look to the actual spine of the slipcase. The Absolute Batman, the Court of Owls, the DC logo, the Court of Owls mask right there. And then in the back, what we have is the Court of Owls with Talon and the actual nursery rhyme that is featured in the book that kind of kickstarts this whole mystery. And then we have the spine of the actual book, which we'll pull out here. Second, actually, let's go ahead and get it out of there. The slipcase itself doesn't have any kind of patterns or anything on the inside. It does come with a leaflet, and as you all know, I love keeping the leaflets. It does come shrink wrapped too. So here's the leaflet with the ISBN, the price, and of course, a little bit about the book with a blurb as to what this is. Now, this is the cover to issue number 6. I always thought that was such a weird, creepy cover of Batman turning into an owl creature. And then the back, I think this is from issue number 3, if I'm not mistaken. And here it is. The actual book right here with this cover. Again, no text in the front, no dust jacket. It's just art on board with the city of Gotham, which plays a big role in this book. And again, the spine, Absolute Batman, the Court of Owls, Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, DC logo down there. And then the back of the book, which is not Gotham City, but actual Wayne Manor and the Batsuit from that particular, I think it was issue number 9, if I'm not mistaken. Now, to kind of give you an idea of how big this book is, here it is compared to the size of the omnibus edition. You know, Absolutes have a little bit bigger, taller rather, and longer trim size on the pages, making these really stand out. I mean, if you really enjoy the artwork, the Absolute editions are the way to go. But I think to me, like, a story has to mean something in order for me to get it. Also in Absolute edition, it's not just about the art, but the art plays a big part. And we'll do a comparison in a little bit. Alright, if you've not read Court of Owls, this is regarded as one of the best Batman stories. And it really is. And Scott Snyder's New 52 relaunch of Batman is just phenomenal. And it deserves a lot of praise. I am going to be talking about the story, the setup, not really going to go into the deep details or any big spoilers in here. But, you know, in case you haven't read it, you want to go into completely blind, you've been waiting for this edition before you read it, then by all means, you know, skip to the part where I talk about the build of the book. And then for anybody else that has already read it or whatever, you don't care about spoilers, then hey, let's get this party started. Okay, let's go ahead and crack this book open. You have this fountain over here of the owl just perched up on this rock with Batman just staring at him, blinded by how massive and grand it is. And here's the symbol, the Court of Owls. Absolute Batman, the Court of Owls. And then this iconic image from inside the book. And Absolute Batman, the Court of Owls, Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo. Could have sworn it was Danny Mickey that actually inked this stuff. But no, I was wrong. It's Jonathan Glapion. Maybe he did the cover inks. Not sure. Anyway, James Tynion doing the co-writing on The Call in the Fall of House Wayne, and then Raphael Albuquerque doing the artwork. And those are the short stories, and those are left for the back of the book. And you have Foucault Placencia doing the colors with Nathan Fairbairn and Dave McKeag. Richard Starkings, Comic Craft, and Patrick Berzeau, and Desi Ciente, and Jimmy Bentecourt doing the lettering. And an introduction by Scott Snyder here, talking about how the original idea came out. I think he started talking about that it started on a trip. It was a bus in New York City, and it was 2010, and the idea just came to him. And here we go with the very first issue. Now, this collects Batman, the New 52 era, when the every series was relaunched. All 52 titles were relaunched with a brand new number one. Didn't matter if it was Action Comics, Wonder Woman, Detective Comics, longest running comics in history, and they were relaunched with a brand new number one, so including Batman. So it includes Batman 1 through 11 in its entirety. And this has 360 pages. The retail price of this, which I forgot to mention earlier, is $125. This was originally printed in 2015, long out of print, and it joins Black Mirror as the other Absolute Edition by Scott Snyder. And hopefully one day we'll get a Black Mirror Absolute Edition reprint, because that story is excellent. That was his very first work. This time around, though, he's actually writing Bruce Wayne under that cowl. So at the very beginning, I actually enjoy the way this starts off. It starts off like a stereotypical Batman story, with Batman just fighting some of his rogue gallery here. I mean, it's the action, it's the artwork, and it really makes Greg Capullo stand out, like showcase everything that he can do as far as like panel layouts and action shots and just the flow of the panels. It's just done so well. Of course, Capullo is no stranger to comics, right? He'd been drawing comics for decades before he started then working on Batman. He had done stuff at Marvel with Quasar and, of course, X-Force, and then went over to Image, and I think most people probably knew him from his work on Spawn. So we do see him, like I said, take down bad guys. He's teaming up with the Joker, and as you find out, it's not really the Joker. Love the Batcave. How massive and beautiful this looks. And I love when it's a different artist every time doing their rendition of the Batcave. But what I was saying is that it wasn't really the Joker. It was just using this new technology, and it turns out to be Dick Grayson. And both Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne are heading out to a party. He puts on these new contact lenses where it kind of gives him, it's almost like an, what were those things called on Futurama? I think they were called iPhones. You just install it in your eye. But it gives them like facial recognition for a lot of the people. So you get like a way of catching up to speed as to who some of these characters are, like Tim Drake and the current status of Damian Wayne, and of course Dick Grayson, who he is to Bruce Wayne, and also other characters through here. There's a big party that's happening, and you see like Vicky Vale show up. You see this guy, Lincoln March, show up. And what the Court of Owls is, it's this big mystery that has been sitting right under the nose of Batman. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about this, is that there is a secret society that has been controlling and pulling the strings of Gotham City right under Batman's nose, like without Batman realizing it. And the more he dives into this mystery, the more it's revealed that these people are controlling Gotham City, and hidden for decades, and it going all the way back to the Waynes, like early years here in Gotham City. So after some horrible murders happen, Batman is investigating, and it turns out that Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow, and that's what leads him into this journey to unravel this horrible mystery. And throughout this book, he starts uncovering that there's a huge conspiracy that goes to all the way back to the origin of the city of Gotham. Now, it gets really interesting because a lot of it has ties not just to him, but other characters from his lore. And it becomes really an amazing trip. Like, what do you believe? And if this secret society has been around for a while, who do you even trust? Now, he's targeted by the Court of Owls when they send their assassin in, and their assassin is Talon. And again, New 52 era of Batman. So you got Nightwing's new costume, you have Damian Wayne, he's the character known as Robin through here, and then you have Tim Drake, he's playing the role of Red Robin. But it's mainly, I mean, this book really focused a lot on Batman. Early on, you see a lot of appearances by the family. Batgirl makes appearances here, but it's mainly focusing on Batman and, of course, Alfred and their relationship. And this is the assassin Talon that the Court of Owls sends in there to go and kill Bruce Wayne. Now, do the Court of Owls, how powerful are they? Do they know that Bruce Wayne is Batman? Well, you can find out for yourself exactly how all this comes to play and how much the Court of Owls knows. There's a couple things I wanted to mention here. One of the biggest, and I mean one of the biggest questions I have, I love this scene, is in this particular issue. And that is issue number 5. Issue number 5 I get so many questions on because a lot of people, whether they get the omnibus editions or whether they got the absolute or the trade paperbacks or hardcovers, whatever it is, they always think it's a printing error. And I understand, because what happens here is that Batman is going through this labyrinth, and, there's things that are happening here that are playing with his mind and his senses. So are led through this labyrinth where he's completely lost. And the panel work that is done through here is amazing, because it's like you're following him through the labyrinth, right? And the panels start getting a little wonky, and then the book just completely turns upside down on you. And people have emailed me, people have left comments on my videos whenever we did old reader, new reader on this. They were like, oh, that's when some of them found out. I thought it was just a printing error. It's not a printing error. This issue is supposed to be printed that way, so that you're led into the state of confusion. But here, let me skip a little bit, because it goes right back to normal with the fight here with Talon versus the Dark Knight. And as you read through here, you will find out all the answers, like how long they've been around, whose strings are they actually pulling. The attack on Wayne Manor is so awesome with this bat suit and a bunch of talons. Yeah, they are kind of like ninjas. Now, I will say that, you come right into the story, and very much like Black Mirror, right? It's action at first, and then what Scott Snyder does is he starts telling you this really long story that he has set up. And even though it's very verbose writing style, I mean, like when you get into here, like there's a lot of dialogue, and I love it, but it's not for everybody. I think a lot of people sometimes, I think that I do have some viewers that immediately look at a page like that and they're like, oh, that's a lot of reading. But it's interesting because he has this really amazing ability to just build tension through the dialogue and then create these really powerful and memorable scenes that just add to all this world building that he's doing, because he is doing a lot of world building. We are introduced to the concept that these characters have been around and a part of Batman's life right under his nose, and he didn't even realize it. Oh man, it's so awesome. And there's a reason why people consider this to be one of the best Batman stories, or to some people, the very best. And a lot of people got into Batman because of this particular series right here, the Scott Snyder series. And I don't think there could have been another artist that they could have chosen better for this particular story. It is Greg Capullo. I've been a huge fan of his work, and I remember his style when he was over at X-Force. And as soon as Todd McFarlane pulled him, I was like, oh, he's so gonna be the next artist on Spawn. There's no way they don't use him on Spawn. But he's just such a great artist. There's a lot of energy that he brings to this particular story, and it's really weird to say that because the story is really a fantasy horror, right? We are talking about an Illuminati type of group here, and there's a lot of dark stuff that happens through here, but there's a lot of action and so much energy just in every panel. And Gotham itself, like, I absolutely love his buildings and this Gothic style that he just puts everywhere. Like, there is nobody on this particular run that didn't just work their asses off, whether it was the inker, the colorist, or the letterer, to make sure they delivered this grade A story, because they knew this was going to be something special. And it really was, right? This whole mystery coming together, and then who to trust, who not to trust. It's almost feels like a very unprecedented and incredible story arc to kick off the New 52. And granted, there weren't a lot of New 52 stories that were great and memorable for people. And there are some, and I know people have asked me what are like my top 10 New 52 stories. I promise I will do that one day. I promise I will. That takes a lot of thinking, though, because I really like some, and others not so much. And there's a lot of underrated stuff. Looking at you, Frankenstein. I'm glad that collection's coming out. Anyway, where the hell was I? So yes, Court of Owls. It's now an Absolute Edition, and you get to find out who these aristocrats are, who's really running the city of Gotham, and how much they have to add to the origin of the city of Gotham. Absolutely stunning artwork in this huge oversized format. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about the extras because I think that's enough of a pitch. I think people get the idea. People look at the artwork. And, this is just a story that I think everybody, most people that are into comics knows about, right? I don't know why I didn't do spoilers. I should. I know some people that are like, oh, when you're doing Absolute or Gallery Edition, you should totally do spoilers. But just in case, I do know some of my viewers were waiting for this to be reprinted to buy this particular edition because they already had the Batman Black Mirror book. All right, so let's talk about the book itself here. Every cover is a textless cover. No matter what cover you're looking at, it is a textless cover. On the back, they'll tell you what chapter you're on. So this is chapter 9, so issue number 9 right here. And on the opposite side of every cover is the black and white version of that cover. So it's just the inks. And I love that they added that. I think that is a nice touch. And then they have the talon of the owl right there. But every cover's like that, all 11 covers. Now, in the back, you have the 2 backup stories. One is The Call, the first one, and the other one is The Fall of House Wayne. And there are a little bit of flashback stories that are happening to kind of do a little more world building. Again, Raphael Albuquerque supplying the artwork for these backup stories, and also James Tynion helping out with the script. And then after this, or after these 2 stories, is censoring that final page, where you get the variant covers. This one here is by Ethan Van Sciver. And then you have Jim Lee and Ivan Reyes. And this is when they were only doing like 1 or 2 variant covers per issue. Nowadays, I think it's like 10 or 12. It's getting crazy out there. But hey, I get it. There's people that love collecting just based on covers. And then retailers that enjoy selling those variant covers and keeping people in a folder box. All right, so here's the Talon concept designs, the script to finished product. I love when they add things like this. If anybody ever wants to try a hand at like making your own comic, you get an idea of what a comic writer's script is like. And every comic writer's different, right? I've heard nightmares of what it was like to draw for Alan Moore because he was so in control of every panel. And then some people, like Brian Michael Bendis, have a more of a loose script, like, hey, here's an idea, this is what you need to draw, not every single frame in the comic panel. But, some people can work like that. Some people like to be fully controlled. Artists, that is. But here you see the actual dialogue, and then you see the penciled pages right here before the inks. And I love that. It's a great process, and it's the first issue that they do that with. And then all the way in the back is the bios on Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, and Jonathan Glapion. Now, before we do a quick comparison, let's look at the binding. So it is sewn binding, and it comes with a ribbon, and it is printed in this really thick, glossy paper. I don't have the first printing to compare it to, but I do have my omnibus. Well, look at the difference in the sizes and, of course, the colors. All right, let's go ahead and get both of these opened. Now, the designs are always going to be a little bit different. And normally, of course, I take my dust jackets off, but I'm living dangerously. So I think most people that own the omnibus already know that most of the time DC doesn't really put like the text and logos on their Omni editions. They leave it textless. But in the Absolute, you are told what chapter you're on, whereas over here, you're just left to the grace of God, but there are page numbers and a table of contents to help you out. Whereas the Absolute Edition does not have either. But when you have only 11 issues collected, it's fine. The way that this looks over, now this is the first printing of this omnibus, okay? So this is the one that has the really tight binding that had the just over ridiculous amount of glue. It's been open, and this is the best I can get it to look, so without doing the old, butter knife trick that I don't do anymore, and I don't recommend it because you do not want to break that spine. As far as the colors, though, they look identical. Like, maybe just a little bit lighter over here in the Omnibus edition compared to these, but kind of give you an idea of what like the page size looks like. This kind of gives you an idea how much bigger the Absolute edition is, and it does make you appreciate like the shattered glass here, how much detail goes into just this one panel right there. You can see a lot more of the panel, right? Because it's blown up. It's a little bit bigger than this one over here. It's not artist size edition, but it definitely does help. Maybe it's just my old eyes. But this kind of gives you an idea. And of course you see the way that the book lays over compared to the omnibus edition, right? This lays over nice. Of course you're dealing with 11 issues. I wanted to do this page comparison here. This is of course the Bat Cave. It's a phenomenal shot. And over here you do have some minor gutter loss. You have to hold it down to see the whole thing. Over here, it's about the same type of gutter loss, honestly. To see the whole panel, you have to hold it down like this, just like you did over here. So just because the binding is better than over here doesn't mean that you're going to have more of that art. But I did want to show how it laid over compared to the omnibus edition. And just a couple more pages. I do love the shot. Even though I still argue to this day that he draws Dick Grayson just way too young. I think Dick needs to look a little bit older. But Tim and Damian, yeah, it's about right. The future of Gotham City. And what is Bruce Wayne building? But yes, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to showcase the art, focus on the book. Here, let's put this back. And, of course, talk a little bit more about the Court of Owls. It's back in Absolute Edition. So, if you've been wanting to pick it up, now's your chance to go and pick it up. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this Absolute Edition, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking it up. If you already have the omnibus edition, but you just love the art or love the story so much that you also have to have the Absolute Edition. I would love to know all that in the comments down below. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. We are on Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.